Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, one and all. It's been a little while, hasn't it? So I actually wasn't going to do any kind of real streaming or recording for a while, but I want to do something a little bit special. This is something that I've been meaning to do for quite a while, and we're getting very close to October now, and I figured, hello, it would be time appropriate to return to a little something that I've been wanting to do for a long ass time, and that is run Call of Cthulhu. Now, for those of you who are not aware, haven't been paying attention, hello, my name is Dennis, that's my crime, source, my punishment. I am once, technically, a freelance illustrator. Now, I mainly run paid games on StartPlaying.games. What does that mean? It basically means that I host various tabletop RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, Vampire the Masquerade, Call of Cthulhu, to name but a few. And with it being the Witching Month, I wanted to basically bring back this particular game and basically have it up for the general public. A couple of weeks ago, the regular World of Warcraft game that I run, or rather the Warcraft 5e game, which is basically 5th edition World of Warcraft, where all the classes, all the races, all the various details of everything have been retooled and reskinned, and it's all inspired by the World of Warcraft MMO, but using the core of the 5th edition rule system for D&D. We basically were missing 2 of 4 players, and we were right in the middle of a dungeon or something, so rather than have just 2 of the players complete the major story content that everyone else had been waiting for, I figured, hey, let's do something a little bit different, and this is what we actually did. That is why you can see a few of these tokens up here. This is Karen, and this is Neville. They are the 2 nosy neighbors who played in a little scenario which I like to call the Edge of Darkness. Now, what I'm basically showing off here is the Foundry virtual tabletop version of 7th edition Call of Cthulhu. Now, just want to make sure that everyone can see pretty much everything here, so we're just gonna, do we need to we can keep the overlay here, it's not going to take up too much space, but I am going to reduce myself just a little bit so I'm not taking up too much room. In fact, let me just scooch this up a little bit. There we go. So you can at least see the important things. So yeah, this was a completely impromptu. Basically, what I'm doing is normally my main games would be running on a Tuesday. So I'm kind of fully booked on Tuesdays. However, I'm basically trying to get semi-regular Saturdays as well. So if you are interested in experiencing a little bit of eldritch horror set in the 1920s, then this, my darlings, is for you. So what exactly do I have here? This is basically something that's been cobbled together from a whole bunch of different systems and different modules. For those of you who have no idea what a Foundry virtual tabletop is, it is basically something similar to, like, say, Roll20 or other digital tabletops, where it allows you to have, you know, set the scene. With D&D, you can basically have a top-down combat with various maps and locations, and in cases like this you can have scenes that show off the theatre of the mind environments where various characters interact with the players. So for example, these are the 2 deeply unpleasant characters which were played to perfection by my Warcraft players. This was Karen and Neville, as I say, and these are some of the NPCs that they met in a particular scenario that's referred to as the Edge of Darkness. Now, Edge of Darkness is one of the more famous Call of Cthulhu scenarios. As you can see here, I have a whole bunch of pre-made scenarios that I think are fairly useful introductions to Call of Cthulhu. And my intention is to basically sit down with the players and introduce them to the town of Arkham, Massachusetts. So, Arkham, what is Arkham? I'll be cleaning out some of these. These are some of the scene settings where I had the characters earlier, but let's just unpause a moment. And let me see if I can set up some of the ambiences of Arkham. Arkham, Massachusetts is a rather slightly damp town that resides within Massachusetts itself. Let me see if I can give you a more general view of the Lovecraft country. Arkham resides over here, somewhere near Bolton and Ipswich, places such as Salem, and a little bit away from other major locations that people would know today, such as Boston. Now, the game itself is set during the 1920s, and many of these scenarios are interconnected. Arkham itself is a very well-storied and well-traveled setting where there are many different locations for people to explore and encounter. One of the more famous ones would be over here, the southern end of Arkham, also known as the Miskatonic University. Miskatonic University is a center of learning within Arkham, home to many studious individuals, some of which have connections to researches and studies not normally seen in other places. Basically, weird shit happens in this place, and much of this weird shit is examined within places such as the library and the other university grounds. The various NPCs that you can interact with, such as the librarian, Miss Diane Loring, and of course Dr. Henry Armitage, who is one of the main professors in charge of the library. All character tokens, by the way. Yes, AI, I know, but basically it's called Art Breeder. And most of these scene settings, as you can see, are either going to be locations that are taken from pre-existing Call of Cthulhu material, or in cases such as this, they are all basically stock-free, royalty-free locations. For example, you know, basically period pieces. It's all designed to set the tone. Speaking of setting the tone, I have a few little bits and pieces. You can see some of the music here. I'm not going to play it on stream, but let's just say I have acquired various audio from various sources, which I think is thematically appropriate. So we'll leave it at that there. But as well as the wider area of Arkham, there are also very specific stories which take place nearby or around. One of which I'm a very big fan of, such as the Crimson Letters, which I believe is included with the Keeper's Guide for 7th edition. It's a rather interesting whodunit with various locations for you to travel, where a bunch of papers have been stolen from Miskatonic University and the university has asked you to locate them. There's also more small-scale scenarios, such as Paper Chase, a scenario where the characters are working to aid an assistant, aid a friend with understanding some mysterious break-ins in their recently inherited home. Edge of Darkness, of course, is another one of the more famous ones, where an old friend calls you to the hospital in order to help him put right something that he put wrong many, many years previously. The Cracked and Crooked Manse, which is another interesting one based around a house that, as the description implies, is a little bit off-kilter, shall we say. There are also, as you've seen, many, many different locations, and I've sourced from Arkham itself, the wider town at large, and there are a couple of scenarios, such as the Necropolis, which were taken from the Gateways to Terror collection, which certainly don't start in Arkham, but any survivors of them would certainly find themselves relocated to the Massachusetts town post-haste. So, as well as locations and scenarios for the players, what else do I have in store for my victims over on StartPlaying? Well, for example, let's see, in regards to, say, the Edge of Darkness, we have a whole bunch of different handouts. Various bits and pieces which basically give my players a little bit of context as to what is going on. For those of you who are familiar with Foundry Virtual Tabletop, your version, were you to run 7th edition Call of Cthulhu, were you to run this yourselves, you would find it looking very different. I've added a whole bunch of different additions to Foundry, so this one's going to be a little bit unique, and I've also sourced different handouts from different creators all over the internet, so this is a very particularly curated and unique experience for the players. So we have scenarios, we have handouts, and the most important thing of all, characters. Worry not about the Star Vampire. You will not need to fear it right now. Or Patrolman Malone. He's completely harmless. But there are... Don't worry about anything you saw about a coven there. There are various, shall we say, individuals. What's the safest non-spoilery one? Let us do... Actually, let's just open up Karen. This is how the basic character sheet is going to look. Karen is actually based on a... I've already cleaned that one out, but basically I have a whole string of different pre-made characters. You can tell this is an impromptu stream because I keep losing track. Here we go. So, Cthulhu Investigators. So, this is actually the full list of default NPC types or PC types that you can choose to play as. Both my players for this impromptu game that I did a couple of weeks ago, they both went with a nosy neighbor, so it literally turned from the moment of character creation. They basically broke the main concept of the adventure, so I had to do a little bit of work to make it actually function and make sense, but it was a whole lot of fun, and the two characters were so deeply unpleasant. It was amazing. But yes, so basically, you have a string of character options where you can just like pick one up and jump straight in, or you can create your own using the in-made character creator, which is a part of the base version of Foundry's Call of Cthulhu module. Call of Cthulhu is basically a percentage-based game. It's all about skills, so the higher your rating of a certain skill, the more chance you have of succeeding. So, say for example here with Karen, she had 60%, she had a skill of 60 in Natural World, so if she rolled a 50 or under, she would succeed. If she rolled 61, that would be a fail. And all rolls for the most part are going to be D100s. So, I will actually be doing something, I think, in the future a lot more in depth about how Foundry works. Because there are 1 or 2 videos that people have done, but I want to see if I can throw my hat into the ring. Obviously going to be a little more thought out and planned than this little impromptu stream. So, you have a large number of NPCs and characters that not only appear in specific scenarios, but appear just in Arkham in general, that your characters could maybe know or interact with or be connected to. Who knows, maybe the apartment complex you live in might have some connection to the Dead Lodger, or one of your relatives has a little bit of a problem in the cellar. There are many options. So, I think, by and large, that's pretty much it for the moment. I just want to... Oh, and of course, other locations, the most famous of which would of course be the wonderful Arkham Asylum. As I said, there are many maps, many locations that the community has made over the past decades that this particular game has existed, and some of these scenarios have been around for decades as well, and they've been refined, and there have been all manner of additions and interesting tweaks that have been made to them. So I would say the Arkham Vale. Let me just get something. Arkham by Night, I think, is a better scene. So do join me, if you will, over on StartPlaying Games, where sometime in the very near future we will be visiting the beautiful town of Arkham, Massachusetts, where absolutely nothing of any real concern will happen. There will be no mysterious disappearances, no cracked and crooked mansions, no letters of blood, no sort of trouble whatsoever. Just a beautiful little town that can't wait for you to arrive. And as I say, once you arrive, you'll never want to leave. So, you can check out a little bit more over on Twitter. Yes, I am actually dead naming Twitter under the twitter.com/Devillo. But you can also find me on Blue Sky. I am actually on Blue Sky now over under the same name. But if you're interested in checking me out on StartPlaying Games, you can find me under the name Dennis. It is quite literally just Dennis, I know. But I'm going to post some links in the YouTube version of this. Just look at the links below. Click a few, see what you like, and I do hope to see you all in the near future. And rest assured, the actual game will be a lot less meandering and rambling, and far more focused. Focused on you, and all the wonderful things that I'm going to do to you. Sweet dreams, everyone. Good night.